I am Dracula. I bid you welcome.
It's alive!
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Google Gobble, Google Gobble.
We belong dead.
Have a potato.
Welcome to this episode of The Good, the Bad and the Universe. We're your hosts, Mark and Sam. Today we're talking about 1933's The Invisible Man. Hi, Sam.
Hi.
Okay, carrying on with our Universal series. 1933, this was made based on the H.G. Wells novel The Invisible Man, which itself was published in 1897. So this was made 36 years after the original novel was published. And we're now looking at a film that's, off the top of my head, about 78 years old, is it? Something like that.
I think so.
Something like that. I can't be able to work out the math properly. 82 years old. Sorry, 82 years old. So this is almost, we're talking from a time almost twice more than twice the length of time between the actual novel being written and the film being made, which is kind of a bit mind-blowing when you think of Invisible Man being quite a sort of classic piece of sci-fi literature. Made by James Whale, and starring Claude Rains. We also get a touch of the Dwight Fry in this, in a very small part as a reporter, but we do see Dwight Fry, who I really like in Dracula and First Frankenstein as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think of this one?
I thought it was pretty good. There are a lot of sort of cool effects in it, and the story was okay. It wasn't exactly. They didn't do much with the invisibility.
It felt a little long for the material. The whole love story. Well, it wasn't really a love story, was it? Because the guy that was kind of the creepy dude who was trying to hit on the guy who turned bad's girlfriend, he was
Griffin.
a bit old.
Yeah, he was.
He was a bit old for this kind of thing. I can't remember what his name. His name was Kemp, was it?
I think so.
Oh, I can't remember, but he was. It was. He just didn't seem right for that role. He needed to be a bit younger and better looking to even be very good. And he wasn't a very good actor. But all the stuff with the Invisible Man himself, Griffin, was kind of cool, actually. I think we said this a few times, this particular phrase, but in this one I think it applies just as much. This must have blown their minds back in when it was first on. The special effects were really quite spectacular.
Yeah, the whole bit where he's taking his he's like undoing all the bandages around his face, and there's just like nothing there.
Yeah,
it's really bizarre to watch.
It was cool, and I thought I'd seen this film, but on watching I hadn't. I'd seen the highlights, I'd seen the good bits, as it were, and I think I might have seen it because I used to have an 8mm Super 8mm projector, and I think I might have had a couple of reels of film from The Invisible Man, which was back in the day you couldn't buy you could, but it was typical. You'd buy almost like an edited highlights version of a film for your Super 8 projector, and I think I've seen that, not the whole film. And bits of the film did drag, but all the stuff in the village was kind of fine. I kind of enjoyed that.
Yeah.
We meet some characters there, don't we?
Certainly. I can't remember the woman's name, but the one who's always screaming she annoys me.
I don't know if he even gave her a name, but it was the inn was the Lion's Head. I didn't know this, but it was set in a village in Sussex, so near to London. Sussex is quite near to London, south of London it is, and the village was called Ipping, which I don't think exists. And he was Mr. Hall and his mum, Mrs. Hall. Miss Hill. She screamed a lot, didn't she?
Oh, God, yeah.
She was the comedy relief, and actually H.G. Wells himself said he really liked her. H.G. Wells saw this film and commented on it. He really liked her. He thought she was a good performance, which is kind of weird. We see lots of effects that are kind of now look quite dated, but I mean, they're
Yeah.
kind of cool. The bicycle riding along, glasses being thrown. Some of it looked quite effective, and look, you could see the wire here and there on some of it, but often you couldn't, and it was kind of cool. And we saw this was a Blu-ray restore print, so it was a pretty pristine print. Wasn't quite as pristine as some of the others that we've seen. I don't think. Do you? Or do you think it was the same?
No, this one, there were bits where it like started skipping almost.
Yeah, and it looked a bit fuzzy in places. It didn't quite seem to be up to the par of, say, Dracula or Frankenstein's restoration. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. We also see the guy that was the angel in It's a Wonderful
Clarence.
Life. Clarence in It's a Wonderful Life, playing a sort of senior doctor called Dr. Cranley. I think the actor's name's Henry Travers. Which is kind of cool. They also talk about the drug called monocaine, which was been abstracted from some plant, and it seems to leach the colour out of everything. It was injected into They talk about a case where it was injected into a dog. The dog went white and then went mad. So in this, Griffin's kind of been sent mad by the drug, it appears. Would you say?
I think so.
He certainly seemed to have lost his senses somewhat, whereas in the book he goes mad by being the prospect of power, of being invisible. It's like power corrupts kind of tale, and I think
I think that is what drove him mad in the end at this.
Yeah,
Where
I think
he
there was a bit of that.
sort of started going on about wandering into all the banks in the world and taking everything.
Yeah, and
sort of
killing
thing.
people. He did talk about, the odd switch here to send a train. Oh, I can't remember his word, but he talks about killing people on a train, which he does, in fact, doesn't he? There's and I think you told me that you read somewhere that this has got the highest body count.
Yeah, this is the highest body count of any Universal monster.
Mainly because of the train. 'Cause
Yeah.
that was a lot. They talked about 100 people dying in the train crash. Didn't
Yeah.
It was at the time Universal's most successful horror film after Frankenstein, and it was highly rated. The critics judged it quite well. For example, in the New York Times, it was judged one of the best 10 films of 1933. So it was kind of liked.
I can believe that.
And Claude Rains basically built his career on this film. This was his first American film appearance, and he became quite a famous actor after this. He appeared in Universal films again as Phantom of the Opera, but he went on to things like Casablanca and Lawrence of Arabia. Really, really iconic films. This was a good fun film. It wasn't great. I don't think it was as good as some of the other ones we've seen so far, but it was kind of fun. And the special effects were quite memorable, weren't they?
Yeah. There's as I said, there's bits where he's taking off this. It's like I think he says it's a surgical bandage
Yes.
that he's wrapped around his head so that people have something to look at. He's got at first they were sort of goggles. Then he replaced them with sunglasses, but
with vents on the side, weren't they?
Yeah, he puts something so that people can tell where his head is, sort of thing, and a wig so he can fake while being there.
Yes. He does talk about some of the other aspects of the being invisible, like he can't be seen in public for an hour after eating. Presumably you can see the food digesting in within him.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to see that.
That would be cool. They could remake this now, and it'd be kind of really quite startling. But I don't know. Is it good enough to remake? I guess the general principle could be made. In fact,
Didn't they Kevin Bacon make one?
Kevin Bacon made one called The Hollow Man, which was he was quite a nasty piece of work. I've not seen it, but I've kind of know. I mean, there's a bit of rape, for example.
Okay.
It sounds kind of grim. In fact, this story, The Invisible Man, I remember 2 different TV series in the 70s based on the premise of The Invisible Man. There was one called The Invisible Man, where he was kind of a spy, and he had his own face was like a rubber mask. And he
Okay.
took off the mask. He basically was always invisible, and he just took off his mask and clothes when he wanted to do something. And then there was another one called The Gemini Man, where he had some sort of equipment that made him invisible. He had if I remember rightly, he had a watch that could render him invisible. It's called the Gemini Man. Neither of which I think did that well. They weren't around that long, but I do remember seeing them when they aired on TV. So it was kind of. I mean, it's got quite a few films, follow-up films in the Universal canon. There's 4 others, I believe. Oh, probably 5. No, 5, because there's Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man. It also makes appearances in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Appearances.
Yeah, we get a whiff of the Invisible Man.
We get a cigarette.
Yeah, a cigarette. And let me introduce myself. I'm the Invisible Man, he says. So they followed it up, but they became more like spy thrillers than horror films. I don't know if it's what you call this a horror. I'm not even sure.
No, it's
sci-fi, definitely.
Yeah, definitely a sci-fi. It's got elements of horror, but it's not really a horror specific sort of thing.
I kind of like the scene where the police inspector's really mad because he thinks it's been a huge hoax and he's trying to sign paperwork around it, and then the ink well starts moving around as he's trying to use
and
it.
throws itself on
throws him on his face, and he does a bit of strangulation, but they seem a bit incompetent catching him. Though they come up with some good ideas, like moving across a room with a large net before they start making their plans, just to make sure he's not in it. Things like that. But he comes a cropper in the end because he falls asleep in a bar and he's kind of breathing or snoring.
Yeah.
Gets heard, doesn't it?
The guy looked Amish who found him, but he was just...
He was supposed to be like a country bumpkin, but his outfit was more like a Somerset outfit, even though this is set in Sussex. But I guess Hollywood doesn't have those kind of issues, does it? It's like a rural English farmer. Okay. They set fire to the barn, don't they?
Yeah.
And then they can see his footprints in the snow, which is kind of a cool effect.
Yeah. There are a lot of cool effects in this, like where he's undressing as having a fist fight.
Yes. There's also, there's a bit where isn't there a bit where he's dragging a guy around by his scarf or something?
No,
in the car.
That's where he grabs the guy that's after his girlfriend.
Yeah, which never is really a plot point, is it? Actually,
no.
He doesn't. Griffin doesn't kill him because of that, because he feels like he's been double crossed by him in the end.
He has kind of.
Well, he has been double crossed by him. Yeah. And then we finally see him at the end, don't we? We actually see Claude Rains.
Yeah, he sort of slowly fades in as a skeleton first, and then flesh, and then it's Claude Rains. Again,
a cool effect.
Yeah.
Cool effect. So the most prominent people in this, probably apart from Claude Rains, was probably actually Una O'Connor as the screeching landlady who gets told to shut up by her husband.
Yeah. Her husband's just been thrown down the stairs. He's like bleeding from the head, and she's sort of standing there screaming. He just goes, "Shut up!
Shut up!" It's kind of fun. There's a range of really dodgy sounding accents in this film. Some of them are London, but some of them are like Americans trying to do London, I think. I was kind of quite surprised when I heard Clarence the Angel talking in an English accent. I thought, that sounds properly English, and he is. Well, he's Berwick, so Scottish-y kind of. But he did a pretty good English accent, better than most Americans could do at the time, that's for sure. It was fun, though. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay. I think we may get onto some of the sequels. They're much lesser films in the Universal canon than some of the other ones we intend to watch. We may get to them at some point. But we'll see how we go. What would you give this one? Sorry, I've kind of finished talking about this. So have you got any other points you want to try?
No.
Okay, what would you give it out of 10?
I'd give it an 8.
Oh, quite high. I give it 7, I think. It's a low 7, but it is a 7. All right, then. So next time on our Universal series, I think we're probably going to cover the rather bizarre and unusual, because it's not really gothic horror, Black Cat, starring Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi. Bye from me.
Bye.